Now I'll discuss the relationship apoptosis plays with cancer. Okay, this chart shows dysregulated apoptosis in cancer. These are the causes of cancer and failure of apoptosis. Alright, uh, on the left, starting from the left top corner, these are three examples of how receptors may fail or ligands may fail. The far left shows reduced expression of the death receptor. This means that on the exterior of the cell there are a minimal amount of receptors that can bind to ligands, which of course will reduce the chances of apoptosis being caused. The middle shows reduced expression of the death signal. The death signal is the ligand itself. Reduced expression of the ligand will cause will also cause a reduced chance of apoptosis because there's a smaller amount of ligand to bind to the death receptor. And the right shows expression of decoy receptor without death domain. This ties in with uh, dominant negatives. If there is a mutant receptor, a ligand may bind to it, but there will be no expression, which of course is a bad thing. Defects, mutations in P53. P53 is the guardian of the cell. It is its design is to find a damaged cell and destroy it. Any mutations in that guardian will cause a surplus of damaged cells, which will lead to a higher chance of cancer. Reduced expression of caspases. You need your caspases in order to go about the process of apoptosis. Reduced expression of such will cause a higher likelihood of apoptosis failing. Increased expression of IAPs. IAPs are the inhibitors of apoptosis, so of course an increase of these inhibitors is not what we need. And finally, disrupted balance of BCL2 family proteins. The BCL2 is composed of two sides, anti-apoptic proteins and pro-apoptic proteins. You want your pro-apoptic proteins to succeed. This will bring about apoptosis, which will ensure that no damaged or mutated cell goes on to become a cancer cell. This should show the two different. This should show a normal cell and a cancer cell in contrast. A normal cell divides about 50 to 60 times before apoptosis is induced. However, if the cell is damaged, then P53 will come in and kill off that cell. However, before a cell can become cancerous, it must go through a minimum of two mutations. Now, these mutations can be a mutation in the oncogen, which is the accelerator of cell growth, or a mutation in the tumor suppressor gene, which is the basically you could call it the brakes of cell growth. Any combination of mutations in these genes will cause uncontrolled growth, i.e. a tumor. As you can see in this slide, you have on your left a normal living cell, and on your right a dying cell. The dying cell is currently going through apoptosis. You can see those waves kind of squiggling toward it. These are the signals um, being sent to the cell, telling it to undergo apoptosis. The cell starts to shrink, and eventually the nucleus will break apart and will undergo phagocytosis via. This is the P53 tumor suppressor protein. The far left shows a normal cell. In the middle, the cell is shown damaged. Now, as stated, the P53 protein's job is to delete that cell before it becomes cancerous. As you can see on the far right, self-suicide or apoptosis occurs and everything like